Good morning, students. Let's continue with the same chapter that we were doing yesterday, Odysseus. I hope you must have read the chapter. It is important that you read it every day to understand it. Is that clear? So, Odysseus was a Greek hero. I'll just give a short summary kind of a thing. So, this Odysseus was a Greek hero, and he was coming back, or he was returning after the great battle of Troy. And when they were on their way back to Ithaca, they lost their way, and they wandered for around 10 years. So while wandering, he actually uh, was experiencing, or he had many adventures to discuss, and this is one of them. So here we'll see that Odysseus, he and his men, they came to an island. They stayed there, and he divided his men into two groups. And one of the group of Eurylochus was supposed to go and see from where that smoke was coming. So when they went there, they actually lost, not lost anything, but yeah, of course, they went there, and there was this palace of the enchantress Circe, right? And she was very smart. She used spells and her charm to change men into animals, tamed animals, and that's what she did with the Odysseus men. Now these men, they were all turned into swine. Eurylochus was the only one who actually was standing outside the palace. He must have not entered in, and that is why he was safe. He came back, he rushed back to Odysseus and told him everything about what happened to his men. Now Odysseus was desperate. He really wanted to help his men. He was a good leader, he was a kind-hearted person, and he could not just let his men die or lose their life because of such terrible fate. So he thought of rescuing them, and the rest, the others, they were scared. So Odysseus, he himself took his sword and his bow and moved out. When he was on his way, you know, in the forest, he met one god, Hermes, right? And he actually told Odysseus about Circe's sorcery, and he even told him, he gave him a charm where it was the flower, or that is known as molly, and it has got a white flower, black root. So he told Odysseus that you can use it in order to keep yourself protected. Odysseus finally reaches the palace where this Circe was, and he told her that I'm a Greek soldier, I'm just a Greek wanderer, and I'm looking for my men. So she called him, she tried to lure him in, and when he went in, she gave him food and wine. So while she was passing the glass of wine to him, what she did, I'll read from here, page number 91. I'm sure we all are on the same page. See, students, I know you like listening to the videos. So the best thing is, while you're listening or watching the videos, get your books with you. Open your books to page number 91. While I read, I want you all to concentrate. So let's continue. So she offered him wine and said, quench your thirst, Greek, whither art thou born? Understand, whither means where are you going? Come on your way. Where are you going? As Circe, underlying this part, as Circe passed the cup, she dropped something into the drink. Unnoticed by Circe, Odysseus dropped his charm into the cup. I seek my companions, whom fate has visited with sadness, said Odysseus as he drank the wine. So maybe he was drinking the wine, and while drinking, he said, see, I'm looking for my men, and they must have met a terrible fate. Little does he realize how soon he will join them, thought Circe to herself. Now she thought to herself, oh, he knows nothing. Very soon he'll also turn into a swine like his men. Hardly had he drained the cup when she struck him with a wand and cried, go now to the sty and live with your companions. So he must have finished the wine. As soon as he finished it, she got her wand and she tried to do a spell on him, and nothing happened. Not so fast, evil muse. So he told her, not so fast, you just cannot turn me into a swine, cried Odysseus, and following Hermes' instructions, he drew his sword in a flash and rushed at Circe to kill her. So she was ready. He was ready with a sword. He got his sword and he was ready to kill Circe. Have pity, fair Greek, she cried. I am a weak maiden. So she's so smart. She said, please have pity, Greek soldier. I am just a weak maiden. Odysseus, remembering that Circe alone could break the spell which had turned his men into swine, stayed his hand. So what he did, he was about to kill her, but then he stopped. Why? He remembered that she's the only one who can actually, what? Change his men back to humans. You would harm me as you did my men, said Odysseus. So he says, of course I know you will harm me the way you harmed my men. But my magic did not harm you, she said. How could this happen? So she says, how is it possible that my magic didn't work on you? It is because the gods favor me, replied Odysseus. So Odysseus said, it is all because the gods, they favor me, they are on my side. Now she was surprised. She used the same magic on his men, right? You remember how she was singing and his soldiers, they got attracted, they went to the palace, she called them in, she gave them, food and wine, and all the men, they turned into swine with the help of her magic. But for Odysseus, none of her magics were working on him. He was actually protected by gods. So she was surprised, very surprised. She now fell at his feet and said, she fell down, surely you must be Odysseus. No other mortal could resist my charm. Let us be friends. So she fell onto his knees and she said, I'm sure that you are Odysseus. There is no other human who can actually keep himself safe from my charms. And then she says that let us be friends, that we should be friends. You are mocking me. So he says here, you're making fun of me? Have you not turned my men into swine and also tried to destroy me? He says, are you joking? Are you making fun of me? You want me to be your friends. You are the same person who turned my men into swine, and you tried the same trick on me. You tried to destroy me. Stay, Odysseus, Circe pleaded. I swear by gods to do you no harm. So she says here, I swear by gods I'll not harm you, but I really want you to stay here. First, you must restore to me my men. He said, okay, first of all, you get my men here, restore them. With these words, Odysseus sheathed his sword. So with these words, he must have put the sword back into the sheath. Circe now took her wand and went to the sty. Okay, sty is the place where pigs are kept. I hope you all know that. Where Odysseus' men were shut. So she went to that cage where his men were and she turned them into humans. Odysseus followed at a safe distance. Now he was scared, so he followed her, but at a safe distance. The tormented beast rushed from the sty at a command from Circe. As animals came out, Circe touched each one with a wand, and at once the bristles fell from their bodies. With amazement, Odysseus saw the swine become men again. So Odysseus was amazed, he was filled with amazement the moment he saw that Circe was actually changing these swines back into men. So how she did that? She took her wand, she touched each swine with her wand, and these swines, their bristles fell and they all turned into men. The gods be thanked, for you return, my friends, exclaimed Odysseus. So Odysseus, he thanked gods for the return of his men. The rescued men also marveled, because they had become younger and more handsome than they had been before. So, they were swine, but because of Circe's magic, when they turned back into men, they were all young and handsome. So they were actually very happy and they were feeling good that, okay, something good happened and now we look so beautiful, so handsome. Circe sincerely regretted her treatment of the Greeks. So she sincerely said sorry. She regretted whatever she did to them. So I prayed, let your men be my guests, that I may make amends. So she says here, so please let your men be my guests, so that I can make the amendments of whatever bad I've done. I can change that. She said, come to page number 93. For a whole year, Odysseus and his men stayed with Circe in her enchanted castle. So for a whole year, these men and Odysseus, they stayed with Circe in her palace for a year. At the end of the year, however, men said to Odysseus, should we not be thinking of going home? Don't you think so? We should go home now. Odysseus knew they were right. He came to Circe and said, it is time for us to leave. Pray, do what you can to help us on our way. So he requested Circe to help them on their way back. I would not keep a guest against his will. So she says here, yes, of course, I just cannot ask you or keep you here against your will or desire, said Circe with tears in her eyes. Ready your ships and I'll provide you with food and drink. She said, okay, you do one thing, ready your ships, I'll provide you with food and drinks. When they were ready, Circe warned Odysseus of the dangers to avoid if they wished to get safely home. So she must have told them about the dangers on their way. Then Odysseus called his men and said, now we are bound for Ithaca, our home. So finally, at the end, they were moving to Ithaca. And Circe, of course, helped them so that they can reach there safely. Right? After that, see here, they've given new words here. You've got a long list to learn. Right? See, number one, strand is seashore. Crag, steep, sharp, ragged rock. With but one, with only one. Wisp, a thin strand of something. Cyclops, a race of savage, one-eyed giants. I'm sure you've read this story in class 7th. Laestrygonians are a race of giants who inhabited Sicily and fed on human flesh. Lamentation, expression of grief. Enchantress, a woman who possesses magic to put one under a magic spell. Wand, a stick or rod with magic properties. Bristles, short stiff hair on the skin. Grunts, low, it is guttural sounds produced by pigs. You must have heard how pigs produce sound. Whither art thou gone? In which direction are you going? What is your destination? Sty, a place where pigs are kept. Sheath, put it to its protective covering. Okay, now let's move. Okay, these exercises, of course, you can do it on your own in the book itself, not in your notebooks, please understand. And these exercises are, you won't get any question from these exercises in your question paper. Okay, let's discuss these first 4 questions. The reference to context we'll do in the next video. So let's see. The first one is, what characteristic traits of Odysseus were evident in his determination to rescue his men? Okay, now when we talk about the character of a person, what kind of a person was Odysseus? That he was determined to save his men. So we can see, if we talk about Odysseus, see, it is given here. You'll have to look in for this answer everywhere and then write about his character. Now, Odysseus was a Greek hero, right? He was a very brave and a strong-willed man. He was determined to save his men from their fate, as he believed or he wanted to keep them safe. What characteristic traits means what was the traits that he had? He was a very brave person, right? He was strong-willed, determination, and then he was a good leader. He was a good leader. What else you find in his character that shows that he was determined to rescue his men? That he wanted to keep his men. He was very protective. He wanted to keep his men safe. What information did the goat herd impart? See, it is given here on page number 90. And it is right next to the picture below. The goat herd shook his head sadly and replied that your men have met the same fate as all those who have been lured by Cis. They too have been turned into swine. I hope you must have got it. Page number 90. Describe briefly how Cis released Odysseus and his men. So you have to describe it in short. Now, how she released, after knowing, please, I'll just explain it in my own words. See, when Odysseus got the information about his men, he went out alone to save them. On his way, he met Hermes, who gave him a charm to keep himself safe from the spell or magic of Circe. When he went there, he used his charm and he was safe. He took his sword and he wanted to kill Circe, but he told her that you should turn my men into, you should turn the swine back into my men right now. She agreed, and then she realized that it was the Greek hero Odysseus. Right, this is how you'll write. After that, there's one more thing here, that she took him to the sty where these swines were, and she used her wand. She touched her wand on every one of these swines. She touched them with her wand, and one by one they turned into men. And Odysseus was actually amazed to see that. How long did Odysseus and his men spend in Circe's company, and why? Circe, she was regretting her action. She was feeling bad that the way she treated the Greeks, and that is why she requested Odysseus and his men to be her guest so that she can make amendments. And for that, Odysseus agreed, and they stayed at her enchanted castle for a whole year. Right? That's it. I'll do one thing. I'll just send you the question and answers of this chapter. I'm not sure whether you'll be able to do it. I'll send the question and answers. Okay, that is it for today. We have completed one more chapter regarding the reference to context. We'll do it in another video. Just do one thing. Whenever you get time, just read the chapter. Read it loudly, please, right? And see if you can finish the past work. And for the poetry part, Do not write the question and answers in the notebook. Don't do that. Just leave it for the moment. Okay, the rest I'll see. The rest we'll do in the next video. Right? Thank you.